What was the first mine that you worked in?
Huh?
What was the first mine
that I worked in? The Hammond Colliery. I worked at the Hammond Colliery, Packer 5, Hunter's Tunnel, Hillside Coal Company, and North Basin Coal Company, and Mammoth Coal Company.
Mm-hmm.
I worked at all them different collieries.
How old was you the first time you got a job?
I was only 18.
Yeah.
When I at the Hammond Colliery. You had to be 18 years old to go in the mines.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, mucking, the worst job in the mines, yeah. But it was the only way you could get in a job.
What did you do when you were mucking?
What did I do?
Yeah.
You shovel the rock into the car.
Uh-huh.
I done that. I mined mostly. Then I went into tunnels work, and I was a chargeman driving tunnel, you know. At Hunter's Tunnel, me and Mick Wrench, we worked together driving breasts up. Never worked in a breast or never knew anything. We were in a gangway first, and then we had to drive breasts up. But we went to the breasts outside of us to see how it gets started. And from then on, we went, and we took the breasts up 5.5 headings. That was 50 feet between the heading and a pitch like that, about 85-degree pitch,
mm-hmm.
almost straight up and down. And you'd be like a monkey crawl. If you try to do it on the outside and you think that you wouldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in the mines like that, you only have that light. But you'd crawl up and down that place. Me and Joe Simononis, we got the jobs together, and we worked together. And then we went bossing for them, but them mines never panned out. But if they would have panned out, Mafia was running them. We'd have had it made. They were good. The one outfit used to board at Graham's.
Oh yeah? Which mountain was that on?
Huh?
Which mountains was that?
That was up Raven Run.
Raven Run? Mm-hmm.
At the old heat and drift there it used to be. That was all mined out and all like that. It was dangerous work there. Hunter's Tunnel was Redding Company.
Uh-huh.
Packer 5 was Gilbert and Coal Company. And Hammond was run that time. Oh, it changed hands a couple of times. The lad that had the breaker here in Ashland, he had the one up Raven Run, and he took it over there.
Mm-hmm.
But the names don't stay with me. Yet I worked for them and can't remember.
That's a long time ago. Yeah.
But in the rock work, driving tunnel it was a dirty job and all, but that was the best job you had, because as soon as you drill your cut up and fired, you was done for the day. Sometimes I was always on second shift. When I'd go out second shift, Mother wouldn't have the table cleaned off yet from supper, and I'd be home already from the night shift.
Uh-huh.
You'd start at 1 o'clock, you'd go down, and by 4 or 5 o'clock I was home already. If you had good air for drilling, you used to have to drill 31 holes, but we had two machines drilling. Sometimes we'd work a double, and by 8 o'clock I'd have a double shift in. And I used to get so much bonus over so much yardage.
Mm-hmm.
But I used to split the bonus with the driller, you know. We'd have a lad on each machine, a helper, you know, and there'd be me, the chargeman, and the driller. Each of us would run a machine.
Mm-hmm. Did you set the charge off?
Huh?
Did you blast it before you left? Or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to have to blast, you know.
Yeah.
Load the holes up and up. I said, they were the shortest hours work, and when you go down and you got the early, quick start, you know, and good air, 3 hours, 4 hours at the most, and your shift was in.
Mm-hmm.
Worst part about it, that you used to burn a quart of oil at each machine, you know. You had what they called a football on the air hose, you know, and you filled that up with oil.
Mm-hmm.
It used to take a quart of oil in, and then you was in like a mist all the time you was there from the machines and that oil. That's the oil film was on my lungs.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get the dust, the oil film.
Mm-hmm.
Albie Stakalis he was working there was a fellow by the name of Jim Stokes that had the contract at the Hammond. And Albie used to always be after him, you know, if there's any kind of opening to give it to me. The first shift that I put in, I was cutting ditch along in the tunnels, you know. Yeah, you didn't hardly, that kind of a job you could do all day long. But after a couple of weeks of cutting ditch, then I got on a mucking crew. Me, Albie Greblick, Lefty Tedrick, and Tony Bush were in a mucking crew. The two on the ends would throw on the side of one side the mine car, and the two lads in the middle, you'd have the door open up on the mine car, and they would throw in from there. Well, we had the hardest part, you know, to throw over the side into the back. And me, I could scoop either hand. So sometimes I'd have to go from one crew to another. But the first shift that we put in a mucking, me and Albie Greblick and Lefty Tedrick, 13 cars we mucked. Four of us mucked in the tunnel, 9 cars. Then me and Greblick and Lefty went over to a rock hole, and we mucked 4 cars there. And they were 5-ton cars. And I was going out from the mines that day, my ass was hitting the sills. And we only got 2 hours overtime then.
And that, you just get paid by the hour doing that much.
Yeah, your shift was 7 hours, you know, was your shift.
Mm-hmm.
And that time you only got $5.75 for your 7-hour shift.
Mm-hmm.
That was back in 1935 and 36. It was the lowest paid job in the mines and the dirtiest.
Mm-hmm.
When I got a job, we were driving shoot. An old fella from, well, I was young at the time, yeah, from Shenandoah, Stanley McSimic, his name was. Oh, and he used to call me Philly. But driving that shoot that time, that was just, oh my God, you couldn't see nothing. You'd blow your nose and only like a marble would come out. Black. To show you how lucky I was sometime. When they had that fire in Packer 5, I used to complain to the foreman, there was so much dust from the miners coming up. We were driving overhead tunnel, and there was so much dust we were getting from the lads running coal, you know. So I asked the boss, the soapy, I said, let us come out on the 11 o'clock shift so we wouldn't be getting that dust. But they didn't. 2 days later, that's when they had the fire at the Packer. I'd have been left in that fire that time, because we'd be the only ones working on that 11 o'clock shift and down on that level.
Mm-hmm.
That's how lucky we were that they didn't leave us go on the 11 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And we were driving the rock slope from 2.5 level was supposed to go down. From second level was going to go 2.5 level. And there was broken ground. You couldn't set the machines up, no way. You used to have to drill with the jackhammers. And that was a dirty job. But we already had driven the slope down, I guess pretty near 100. I'd say about 75 feet. And the surveyors come and looked at it. And the superintendent, give me a blast. He said we drove it 3 feet too low. You used to have a pipe on the side of timbers, and you look down on that to keep your grade, you know. So they had us drill the bottom up to make up the 3 feet. They went and mucked it out. They had a drag thing for mucking there. They didn't shovel there, they drug it out. But after we drilled it up and fired and they mucked it out, the surveyors come back in and they made a mistake the first time. We were right on the button.
Mm-hmm.
They had to go and fill in and fill that back in. And the superintendent gave me an awful eating out that I too low, you know. After it was fixed up, and I said, now what the hell have they got this holler about? He didn't say a goddamn other word. Never bothered me after that.